Yeah, I think it's just sort of like existing is the risk in this world. Like I commend anybody who is a professional artist and making a living that way, because it's not an easy path to take. I'm just gonna continue the love of Creative Mornings. What Nadia and Hannah are doing is like so hard. It's a lot of work to do what they're doing, and you all showing up like means so much to me, but it means a lot to them, and it means a lot to our city. I looked the other day, and this is my 40th Creative Morning talk that I've been to. Feels pretty cool. And I'm so excited to be here and share some work with you all. I have like maybe 1 million slides, so if you all want to like text your office and just say you're going to be a little bit late, that's probably a good move. So I'm calling this talk a revival of sorts. You see, other direction. So I grew up in Louisville, went to school at Western Kentucky University, and yeah, go Hilltoppers. And I studied graphic design and printmaking while I was there. And shortly after graduating from Western, I got a job at Hatch Show Print in Nashville, Tennessee. Hatch is a 145-year-old letterpress poster shop. They started in 1879, it's the year that Edison invented the light bulb, and are continually operating today. They have done a wide swath of work. I'm showing you a little timeline here. So print, advertising, abolitionist preacher Henry Ward Beecher, to Silas Green and the Grand Ole Opry, a lot of variety shows, vaudeville, minstrel shows, all kinds of entertainment throughout the South. All of this stuff was designed, printed at Hatch Show Print. Moving on into the 50s and 60s, doing a lot more like what we see as traditional concert posters. So in the 50s, a poster for Elvis Presley, and in the 60s, Johnny Cash. Still making posters today, around 600 posters a year is what they're doing. And I wanted to show this beautiful Casey Musgraves poster, because you can just kind of see the evolution of the style and the type of work that they were doing throughout those years. And all of this is done in the process of letterpress. I'm gonna get used to doing this. And letterpress, put very simply, is letters pressed into paper with ink in between. It's this very dumb explanation for something that becomes so much bigger than that. So when I talk about letters, this is the interior of Hatch Show Print. Can you all hear me when I'm away from the thing? Okay, great. This is the interior of Hatch. This is in the main floor of the Country Music Hall of Fame. I was not actually in this location, but this is just sort of the best view of the shop. So you can see a giant wall there, and that's filled with large wood type, and all of those cases are filled with variations of wood type and lead type, images that were carved in 1879 and images that were carved today. And I love to show these two posters next to each other because I think it's this really great connection between the work that Hatch was doing and what gig posters mean today. So the poster on your left is for Johnny Cash playing the Minneapolis Auditorium in 1967. And the poster is red and black, big and bold. You can see the information. You know Johnny Cash is going to be there. You know it's at the Minneapolis Auditorium. You know that the show is April 22nd. at this time, there's TV, a lot of ads on the radio as well. But these posters would be hanging up all around town. If you lived in the country, it might be on the side of a barn or anywhere else, so that people knew who was playing, when they were playing, and trying to get people out of their house to come to these incredible shows. Fast forward to 40 years later, I sort of equate the time that I started at Hatch as the time when Facebook went from just being for college students to being for everyone. Also around the time where the internet was like slowly in people's houses. So the communication has changed so much in that time, and that allows the gig poster to change quite a bit too. So instead of having to make something big and bold that everybody can read as they're riding their horse and buggy down the dirt road, these shows are typically sold out before I even am asked to make a poster for it. So the poster becomes a celebration of that band playing in that town at that time. It makes my job a lot more fun because we just get to make cool posters and we don't have to worry necessarily about the legibility of it or the readability from far away. So putting these two posters next to each other is really fun for me because when I started at Hatch, like, these posters were up on telephone poles. They were in coffee shop windows. And we don't really see that as much these days. And it's kind of a bummer, but I understand that that's just the evolution of things. I left Hatch in 2012 when my wife went to grad school in Northern Illinois. So we were about an hour west of Chicago in DeKalb, Illinois. And we had this tiny little apartment in downtown DeKalb, and across the street was this great little coffee shop called the House Cafe. And there were a bunch of really good shows happening at the House Cafe. And at the bottom of their like digital flyers, it always said Kickstand Productions. And so I would go to these shows, and eventually I got to meet the guy who was putting on the shows for Kickstand. And I asked if I could make a poster in trade for tickets to the show. And so I think the first poster that I did was for a band called Frontier Ruckus, kind of like a bluegrassy punk band from Detroit area. And I made 40 posters, and there were like 20 people at the show. But what it allowed for both of us, it allowed me to have a place in DeKalb. I started to build community with like the kids who were going to the shows. I became good friends with Evan, who was putting on these great shows. And I was also able to start to separate myself from Hat Show Print. I think the second that I left, so much of my identity had been tied up in this antique print shop, and I wanted to do something new. And doing these posters with really, really low stakes, I was maybe printing, like 40. I think we ended up going to like 25 posters for most of these shows. But it allowed me to start to try some weird things and do something a little bit different. I didn't have this giant archive of amazing wood blocks and wood type and images from 150 years of history, but I did have access to a laser cutter. And with a laser cutter, I'm now able to create my own printing plates. So taking the knowledge of that old print shop and using the skills that I sort of let go by the wayside. I studied graphic design, I worked on a computer, and then I worked at a shop that I didn't touch a computer for 8 years. So that was like a little bit of, just like working the rust off to get there. And making posters for all of these cool indie bands. This is a poster for Frankie Cosmos, who I absolutely love. And while I'm doing all of these like fun, silly gig posters that aren't paying any money, I'm doing a little bit of graphic design projects here and there, like digital design projects, working with a vineyard out of California, designing wine labels and hard apple cider cans and fun things like that. And as I'm doing that, that's sort of like allowing us to live a little bit. And slowly but surely, the new work starts to come in. And I get to start making posters for bands like Mumford & Sons, Greg Allman. We always joke that in 2014, Greg Allman paid our rent. Which is a cool thing to say. And that's sort of where I've been for the past 12 years or so, just making a bunch of fun gig posters. A lot of my work is sort of rooted in country music, Americana stuff. And one, I think the aesthetic of letterpress sort of lends itself to that because Nashville becomes this through line for so much of the country and Americana music that we listen to. That's just sort of like the nature of the work that I do. And I'm not gonna complain because I love the nostalgia of country music. I love sort of the southernness of Americana. And while I'm doing all of these posters, I'm working on a bunch of other projects, but there's so many things that are still like in my brain from the time at Hatch, from the history of letterpress printing. And this is a photo from, I'm gonna say the mid-20s. It's for a tent variety show that is Silas Green from New Orleans. So all Black-owned vaudeville show that traveled throughout the South from like the early 1900s to about 1940, 1950. And I love this photo because all of those prints that are on that wall are letterpress prints. It was all made at Hatch Show Print. And these prints were like lining these walls, and it's just so beautiful to see the work being engaged with, or like, this is how we used to advertise. And I really miss that time. It's so beautiful. And this is a weird transition going from Silas Green from New Orleans to Shawn Mendes. So in 2018, I got a phone call, and it was Shawn Mendes' manager needed 50 posters in 2 weeks. And it was like, oh, that's easy. I wasn't that busy at the time. I said, my minimum order is 100 posters. And he said, no, we need 50 different posters in 2 weeks. And luckily with this, it only had to be created digitally. We didn't have to actually physically print them. While there are letterpress elements to the designs, the physically printing part was like not important. So I did a little bit of printing, and we wanted to do a little bit of a promo to celebrate that I was the person designing these posters. So for the show at the Rogers Center in Toronto, I got to actually letterpress print that poster. But I wanted to show this because it's sort of showing my old studio along with a little bit of the process. You can see mixing ink, loading the paper in, cranking it through one color at a time, locking things up. So the sound is just so beautiful. I really love that element of this particular project. And so we made a bunch of posters. I designed most of them. I also hired my friend Matt Barnes to design a handful of them to get me through that initial giant break. I got to take my niece and one of her buddies to see the show at the Yum Center. We were the second row in the dead center. Like, I took this photograph, which is mind-blowing. But I kept thinking about that Silas Green photo. I think about this Walker Evans photo of all of these beautiful circus posters. These are mostly, it's probably 50-50 of letterpress printed and lithography process for printing. So all of the beautiful posters that you saw in the stairway, like, spend some time with those after we leave, but those are all lithographs, and I am 90% sure that they're all litho and not letterpress in there. But I'm thinking about these beautiful murals, these beautiful pieces that are advertising, the circus, the vaudeville show, whatever it might be. And we made a bunch of posters. There's no reason that we couldn't do this for Shawn Mendes. So I talked them into turning the posters into a giant mural. They did it for one night show at the O2 Arena in London. So I just sat on Instagram and followed the geotag and just screenshotted every single photo. And the photos are beautiful. And this project really has changed the way that I think about making stuff. I want to make stuff that brings people joy. I want to make stuff that people can interact with and engage with. And what happened on that day? This is so fast, and it's still not stopping. We're not looping anything. So I really wish that they did it for every single show, but getting to do it for this was just so meaningful. And I hope that I can continue to find projects that work like that. Getting to work with, like a Kentucky legend, Chris Stapleton, has been just a huge thing for me. We started about 10 years ago. It was about right when we moved to Louisville that I got connected with the Stapletons, and we've made so many posters in the past 10 years. This is the very first one that we did. I printed maybe 15,000 of this poster over a long period of time. But so I wanted to go back to some of those early letterpress posters. We have like Willie Whalen and the Boys are like, those are old Hatch posters, which like obviously Chris is like an outlaw country musician through and through. But he also has a lot of soul and R&B in his ethos and in the music that he makes. And what Hatch was to country music, Globe posters in Baltimore was to R&B and soul. So the Otis Redding and Aretha Franklin posters are from Globe Posters in Baltimore. Just an absolutely beautiful shop that is still in operation at Maryland Institute College of Art. I just wanted to include this poster. We've done so many great ones. I just got this new press from Pittsburgh earlier, or like last summer, and the first poster that I got to print on it was a Stapleton poster for Pittsburgh. So felt cool to have that connection. We've made a bunch of posters. This is a handful of them, not all of them. He even let me live out my wheat pasting fantasies. So this was a collab with Filson, the clothing company, not the Historical Society. So these posters were up all over town in Seattle around the time of his record release a couple years ago. Having the opportunity to work in Kentucky is really important and has been a big part of, like, when I moved here, I wanted to have the same sort of relationship with this town that I did with the posters that I was making in DeKalb. Something that I didn't say, I called this talk a revival of sorts. Sorts are all of the individual pieces of like lead type and wood type and things like that. So this is me setting a bunch of sorts for all of the sponsors for this particular poster. So this was a show at Rupp Arena in 2022. Chris Stapleton, Dwight Yoakam, and Tyler Childers. The show benefited the flood relief that destroyed Eastern Kentucky at that time. I made this poster in the style of Tribune show print poster, so like very classic letterpress style. They started in 1878, so a year older than Hatch, and currently owned and operated by Kim and Rob Miller in Muncie, Indiana. So we printed 800 of these posters. So I wanted to go up there and print these with them as sort of a celebration of the beautiful work that they do. But they also had the press that I was really excited about. I like really intentionally did not edit that part out. So this press is like turn of the century. It's a Babcock, and it's fully automatic. So you can see like the part that's oscillating back and forth is that's where the form sits. So all the type is in there. The big cylinder is applying the pressure for each of the prints. Just an absolutely beautiful press. We were there for like 3 days and printed 800 posters. So pretty impressive. So getting to go to the show is always like the best part for me. I know I'm just printing the posters. I'm not playing the music, but getting to play this tiny little part in something so big is huge. My whole family came along with me to the show, and they made $2.5 million for flood relief from the sales of tickets as well as the merch, which I had like a small part to play in that. And just celebrating Kentucky through and through. So good. But also, like, just as meaningful to me is getting to make fun things with my friends. So at Hatch, we would say that we're using this incredible catalog to make posters for artists from a bunch of different genres. So I would say at Hatch, we make posters for Tim McGraw, Arcade Fire, and Kanye West. And like after printing posters for Snoop, I can now say Chris Stapleton, Snoop Dogg, Death Cab for Cutie. So Doggy Style was like instrumental in my like early teen years, and Transatlanticism is like still one of my favorite records. So I hope that like music is like the through line here. Like I absolutely love getting to be a part of this. I'm making a bunch of posters. Here's another Old Crow Medicine Show poster. I just wanted to show this one because the inspiration for the design of it was based on these turn of the century chromatic wood type specimen books. So the specimen book is essentially the catalog for ordering wood type. And I'm always so obsessed by, one, like the weird little words that they put. This is numeration chains ride. It's always really random and really fun. But being inspired by that for Old Crow Medicine Show and using this type that's like, there's a little bit of new stuff in there and a little bit of old, and that's sort of where I want to live. So when we moved to Louisville, we had to find our community. I had a lot of really amazing clients from all over the country, and anytime they came through Louisville, a client would would say like, hey, you live in Louisville now, will you make the poster for that show? Getting to make posters for John Prine is like probably like lifelong like top goal or achievement unlocked, I guess. And Nick Offerman performed like right behind where the studio is now at the old Clifton Center. And Jason Isbell is another client that I get to make a bunch of posters for, and it's really exciting to do it in my hometown. So I found some community in the music industry. I also jumped on the board of the AIGA, which is the professional organization for graphic designers. And through that, we brought in a bunch of fun people. Jacqueline Mullen is here as well, and she was you're in the front row. And she was the president at the time, and we were just having a lot of fun and bringing in people that we really loved and wanted to share with Louisville. We also started, myself, my wife Adrienne, and Matt Barnes, who's now in Cincinnati, or Covington, I guess. And we started a creative meetup that we called CULT. And it's the Creative Union of Louisville Trades. And it was mostly just a creative meetup. We got together maybe just to drink a beer, maybe to go to an art show. We started putting on events just because it was like fun and easy, and we wanted to bring everybody together. And like looking at the people here, like I've made so many great friends through that community. And by putting myself out there and trying to do something fun, just what Nadia and Hannah are doing here, I've have this great orbit of people from this. But like so many other things that happened in 2020, it kind of went by the wayside. So as we're wiping off our Dorito bags and hoarding toilet paper, our amazing governor is getting on the TV at 4:00 with Sweet Virginia to give our COVID announcements. And he would begin those by saying, "We will get through this. We will get through this together." I thought everybody would say it. But, just me, I guess. That's fine. We will get through this. We will get through this together. Yay! Good job, everybody. So I made these posters. A friend of mine was working with the Nulu Business Association, and she was like, "Oh, I'll just go and hand them out and put them up in the windows for the couple weeks that they're closed down. We'll hang these posters up." And I gave her 20 of them, and then I had 30 left. And I put them online and posted about it, and immediately, they just started selling really fast and shared quite a bit. And I guess it was the first time that something went viral for me. I thought it was really cool and really exciting. And I ended up printing around 700 posters, and these posters went to 5 or 6 different countries. About half of them stayed in Louisville, which I think is really special and meant a whole lot. But as I printed the posters, I asked everybody to send me photos of how they used the poster, if it was put up in their window, if they framed it, if they decorated it, if they put it on a tree or a t-shirt. And again, I just started screenshotting all of these beautiful moments that were happening with a poster. And at this time where we were all feeling so alone, there was something about this poster that really it made me feel more connected to my community. So it always stops on this photo of our cute little puppy dog, June, and my wife, Adrienne. We had eventually by the end of the the 2020, like our window was just filled with posters, protest and positive. So this is Jesse, who runs the Holy Goat alongside of Indy, and it's a church in New Lou that has been turned into like Airbnbs and all kinds of cool things. But she put that that print on the side of the building, so it became really exciting to like drive past it and people could see it on an everyday basis if they wanted to, or if they were driving that way. And then it was just amazing to see all the photos that people sent. I love this one of this cute little kid. I was able to donate as an individual $7,000 to the Team Kentucky Fund, which is just like, and like I printed it, but you all bought it. And you know, it's something that we all did together. And another incredible thing that came out of it is the Smithsonian actually acquired one of the posters. And so this is like a screenshot of the American History Museum's Instagram page. And I just think it's so cool to see like Joe Lewis's boxing gloves, Dizzy Gillespie's trumpet, and my poster. So really, really cool. So this is an old line that is still really relevant. Freedom of the press is guaranteed only to those who own one. Putting ink on paper is meaningful. It is powerful, and I don't take it lightly. There's a long history of printing posters that start revolutions, that support anyone and everyone doing beautiful things. And I think about that every time that I'm in my shop, that whether I'm adding to the culture of my community or the music industry, to making posters that are celebrating whatever it might be. So I am always inspired by this photo from 1968, the Memphis sanitation workers strike. All of these posters for this was a part of the civil rights movement, part of the workers' rights movement. And it's just so powerful to see everybody holding these posters. These posters were printed in the basement of the Claiborne Temple in Memphis. So this was the gathering place where everybody got together before all of the protests. And last month, tragically, the building burnt down. So the building no longer exists, but the I'm a Man Plaza is still there. And they're still doing work to recover it. In 2016, when Trump was elected the first time, my wife and I decided that we wanted to go to the Women's March in DC. I printed a whole bunch of blank posters that sort of have the frame and said Women's March. And then the day of the inauguration, I invited friends and neighbors into the studio. We came up with some quotes and printed some things to take to DC with us. Jody, I said it was that you were in the talk. So Jody's family motto was be kind, be safe, be respectful, stay strong. And it's just such a beautiful message, like to your children, but also to the world. And we didn't want to put out negative things. We just wanted to put out positive things. So we printed all these posters, drove to DC, have a giant stack of posters, and I have no idea what I'm gonna do with the posters. We're walking around, it's raining, and somebody's like, hey, what do you have? We're like, oh, we printed some posters, do you want one? And then all of a sudden, like 20 people are surrounding us, and we're handing out posters, and within like 15 minutes, all of the posters are gone. We printed maybe like 200 total, and had distributed them. There were so many people there, so the posters like went out and about. A friend sent me a photo. They had looked at photos from the Women's March and found this one, which like didn't tag me, but they I mean, that is definitely not the point. But like they. I didn't do that right. But what I think is so beautiful about that is that this poster just like became a part of what happened that day. It was just one little note among this giant thing. We did, like later on in the day, we did see some people walking around with the poster, and I noticed this girl had like a blue nose, and I was like, what's going on? And I was like, oh, the posters are wet. We printed them yesterday, so so I'm sorry to all the people who got a poster. And I'm going to make a poster when there's a candidate that I believe in, or something terrible happens in our own backyard, or all over the country. It's a way for me to, one, hopefully like raise a little bit of money for whatever that cause is, but it's also a way for me to like grieve and to sort of like come to an understanding of what's happening in the world. And then sometimes it's just about putting like a positive or a hopeful message out into the world. This is a print that I did with the Kentucky Refugee Ministries and 21C. They had an event at 21C. I printed a bunch of posters that they could have for this fundraiser, and they ended up turning my my poster into a big banner that's now on the side of the building, so you can see David's butt and my poster. And I think like this is a really important message right now, and just as welcoming as we can be as a city, as individuals, let's work hard to do that. And in 2024, when Trump was elected again, we decided to finally open a gallery. So in 2020, my wife and I, with help from my amazing family, moved the shop into a permanent home in Clifton on Frankfurt Avenue. So part print shop, part art gallery, and mostly fun. And we call this space Friend of Mine. I run Friend of Mine with my wife, Adrienne Miller, and our dog, Juniper Rainbow. And it's been so incredible to have a space that we can sort of open up and share with the world. The back half is where all of my heavy stuff is, all the presses, all the type, all of the cool stuff. And then in the front, we have a gallery space. Shelby Rodifer was our first inaugural show at the gallery. The show just came down this week, but just absolutely beautiful banners and panels printed. The opening for the show was just so incredible to have so many people in the space. We also had Erica Lewis come in, and they taught a woodcutting workshop for the Celebrate print, which is a really amazing printmaking event at the Portland Museum. Our next show, which is going to happen at the end of July, beginning of August, is our friend E. Bond. She's a designer, bookbinder, educator, printmaker, you name it. She's all of those things. So she did a line of letterpress prints that have inspired fabrics. So she's creating these beautiful fabrics, and we're going to show both of those things next to each other. Go a little bit quicker. These are like some of my pals from the letterpress world. I got into this because I like rock and roll posters, and I wanted to be a part of that. And I have so many incredible friends. Nick Bowdy is a good buddy. He runs Hound Dog Press in town, and like the like cool letterpress stuff is one thing, but having good friends come out of that is so much bigger. And getting to open our space and share this work with everyone is sort of like the end goal. I didn't know that this is what I was after. My work is made by hand. It's meant to be held. It's meant to be touched. It's meant to be like looked at really close. I want you to see the imperfections of the process. And the only way that I can show you all that is by inviting you in. And that's sort of what the space gets to do. So I'll just end with this, this print that says, "Together, another world is possible." So thanks. You guys.